Let's go to this weird conglomeration of Golden State Warriors moves because the Warriors, I think, are just interesting. In a 3-team trade, the Warriors traded James Wiseman. They received 4 second-round picks, and I think they got Kevin Knox, right?
Yeah.
Atlanta gets Saddiq Bey from Detroit. Golden State gets Kevin Knox from Atlanta. No, Detroit. He plays for Detroit now. I don't know what Atlanta is sending out in that deal to get Saddiq Bey. I guess the 4 seconds, right?
Yeah,
5
I
seconds.
think it was 5. Yeah, 5, and then they sent Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky to Houston.
Yeah, that was just like a cap dump move, though, right?
Yeah.
Golden State then moved these, I think, 4 second-round picks. I don't know if it was those 4 second-round picks or if it was just the 4 second-round picks, along with Kevin Knox.
So many second-round picks that just went flying today.
Yeah, I know, right? But they moved all of those picks along with Kevin Knox to Portland in order to reacquire Gary Payton. The end result here is they basically will save something like $40 million in luxury tax payments over the next 2 years, replacing Wiseman for Payton. Something like, $5 million in terms of salary.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, they get Gary Payton II, who's a much better fit, as we saw last year throughout the second half of the season into the playoffs before he broke his elbow, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this is really good business by Golden State. And essentially it's Wiseman for Payton Jr. or Gary Payton II. And Gary Payton II is a killer defender. He really fits their scheme well. He gives them something that they've lacked in terms of perimeter defense. He takes less he makes it so that Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins have less pressure on them to guard on-ball players for long swaths of time. And more than anything, this is a front office that in the past has struggled to admit when they've got something wrong. They admitted they got the James Wiseman thing wrong. They save a bunch of money and they get a better player. This feels like a really, really, really smart move by Golden State.
Yeah, I'm probably not as willing to give them as much credence for it. I think in the moment, smart move, but also I think part of what is frustrating is how long they sat on making this happen.
Yeah.
I of course, again, I can't complain about a team that won a title and is trying to win one again. I'm probably, again, you and I are probably both less optimistic on that happening this year, just based on what it's been. Steph's out right now for at least past the All-Star break. But in terms of bringing in somebody who fits everything they do, I have no qualms about bringing him in. Can I talk about the other aspects of this trade? Because this was wild, man. I think this was the one trade that just made me go, I don't really, I got it from the Golden State perspective. From the other perspectives, not so much. It was a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
Well, let's talk about the Detroit side, because I am so confused why they valued James Wiseman. Is it the idea that they maybe just want a rim runner 48 minutes a night?
Yeah, so that's where I got confused too. Worth noting, they have Marvin Bagley still. They just re-signed him to a new deal before this year. Isaiah Stewart is still there. And as some Detroit fans pointed out to me, this is not me trying to call them out, but they pointed out obviously Bagley's a 4. I agree. He's been playing at the 4 this year when he's healthy. And Isaiah Stewart, they've been experimenting with it the 4. My issue is, I don't I think that Isaiah Stewart.
I don't think they're 4s.
Well, yeah. I mean, more importantly, defenses don't think that they're 4s. They don't act like they're 4s. They don't treat them like 4s. They can't really defend 4s. It's been a problem. I think Stu does some things that I'm more interested in Stu probably than Bagley right now, just on what it's looked like. Bagley can
Wiseman.
Well, I'm more interested in. I'm trying to be careful in how I phrase this. I think that there is still room for Wiseman to really grow. I just don't see it here. I'm very confused by why they made this move when Jalen Duren, frankly, to me, Jalen Duren was a better prospect than James Wiseman. Jalen Duren has done more in the NBA for me to be excited about his future than what James Wiseman has done. And that's not to be unfair to James. It's just telling it blank how it's been. So to me, I am confused as to why they made this move. In terms of a pure talent play, I think sure, but also I just don't really see it. Like I don't see it working. I'm very interested to see what they try and do with it to try and make it work. Maybe they're really aggressive in getting him G League reps, but it's not even needing G League reps for him now. Like he needs to play at the NBA level. This is a team that wants to be better next year. Like everything that they've talked about is being better next year. It's part of the reason they kept Bojan Bogdanovic. I just like it's a little bit vexing to me. Unless I guess it's if they really believe Isaiah Stewart is going to become a high volume 3-point shooter that can do some of the things where he's flashed the handle and whatnot, sure. But then you talk about the overall outside Durant, and again, Durant is still working out some of the playmaking and feel aspects in the front court
and pick and roll defense. By the way, like Jalen Durant has not been good in pick and roll defense this year.
I think part of that too, like their overall, it's the guard placement. Oof, but
this is what I wanted to get into. I'm glad that you just gave me that segue, Mark. Their pick and roll defense this year has been absolutely dreadful. What is the thing that James Wiseman needs most right now in order to contribute at an NBA level? What is the thing that he needs? I would argue it's competent reps in ball screens, getting that experience with guards that like fight over the top and allow him to try and figure out his positioning. He's dreadful from a positioning perspective in ball screens. Yeah. He just doesn't really know where to be yet. He gets caught in no man's land way too often in that drop. Detroit's infrastructure defensively this year, for anybody that's watched a lot of Pistons basketball, it's been a disaster. Like it's been really, really bad. This isn't even a fit to get the most out of James Wiseman from that perspective, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of like knowing your own personnel, right? Knowing your own scout to accentuate and make guys the best they can be, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think on one hand, like I like the idea of, at least for him, I like what this could mean for like getting to play alongside a healthy Cade. I think that's interesting for Wiseman in trying to figure some things out, like playing alongside a guy who's that good with pacing and as a playmaker is going to be beneficial to you. But again, I think when you're talking about what this means for Cade, what this means for Jaden Ivey, I like he's not a good screener right now. The short roll playmaking is he's improved a little bit this year, but I think that's more so speaking on what it was in prior years than what it's at now. Again, like if they really believe in who he can be moving forward, okay. But I need to see it. Like I really need to see it play out before I feel good about what this deal is. And it's not even that they gave up a ton, but it's just in terms of like, okay, putting themselves in a position where they're on the hook with this. Like I'm interested to see how they try and make it work out.
Well, it's just like the overall vision, right? Like they want to be better next year, but then they're going out and acquiring like a pure project center that isn't going to help them next year win games. Like all due respect to James Wiseman, you're right. He still has a real chance, but like, he's not going to take such an enormous leap defensively over the course of the next 12 months or 8 months, realistically, to where he's going to be like a genuine impact player. I don't think, at the very least.
Yeah.
I don't mind the bet. In theory, I mind the team that made the bet.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
I don't think it makes any sense for them. And if I was Jalen Durant, I'd be like, wait, what? I've been killing it. Why are you going out and getting him? Like, I've been better than him. Like, I proved I was better than him at Memphis. I proved I've been better than him in the NBA, and you're going out and acquiring him? Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be that one would be very hard to try and explain. I'd imagine that they talked to him about it. But I'm hopeful to see something change up, because I am really hopeful for him, because I have hated what most of the discourse is.
Around Wiseman, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a bummer. Like, if you talk to anyone around the league, like James Wiseman is like a super nice guy, like a really good dude. And it's been that way since he was young. Like, it's just that, it hasn't worked in any way. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Smart. Look, you can make the case that Golden State should have done all this in the offseason. I get it. Like, but at the end of the day, they got here, and all that happened in the offseason is a sunk cost at this point. So you might as well just kind of make the moves now.
Can I talk about Atlanta for a quick second now?
Yeah, please, because the Sadiq Bey thing is interesting.
I hated it for them, for being completely honest.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, not even
Let's
just
do it.
hate is wrong. Like, I think Sadiq is me and mutual friend Nikai Stunk, we were talking about Sadiq the other day. And like, I think that he's been fine. The defense has been pretty rough this year. Again, part of that is Detroit as a whole, but like he's in a really weird spot where he just is not at a point where I think he can really guard a lot of wings. Like he's pretty clearly a 4 to me. I think you can try and be aggressive with switching him, but he just gets beat so much. His feet really don't move well right now. And I mean, that's something that hasn't really improved from his time at Villanova. So that's been tough because like even just, I mean, shit, who was I watching Detroit play the other day? And it was, they just kept attacking him over and over and over again. And it wasn't just him, but like he gives up everything. And I think like he can do some okay things as a rotation defender, but he's just really slow right now. And I think arguably he's at his best when he can try and guard somebody bigger than him. And
I agree.
What's tough is so when the shot is on, it's really good. And I think playing in it just a more talented offensive team will be beneficial to him. The passing is still pretty bad. I think the overall feel as an offensive player is still pretty underwhelming to me. Yep. And if the shot's not there, like part of what made him interesting in Detroit is they really let him like, okay, be aggressive in trying to get into your post-ups because like he's really not beating people off the bounce right now. Like it's okay, even if he's attacking a closeout, it's okay, I'm attacking a closeout and then having to finish through contact because I am like, he's not really a good leaper right now. Again, he's not super fast getting downhill. I think that he's made some strides over the last year, but it's at a level where for where the Atlanta team is right now, like I think this is to me, like, I mean, he's an interesting depth 4 wing, whatever you want to call him, but like he's kind of just and I don't mean this to sound unfair, but like he's kind of just another iteration of DeAndre Hunter with less skill.
That's what I was going to bring up.
And that's like, I love DeAndre Hunter and he's been better recently, but part of the issue is like they need guys who can move the ball. Like they need guys who can really continue plays and be intuitive with the basketball and like play off of Trey and DeJounte. And that is not Sadiq like at all. And I don't like, I think again, like you bring size and that's interesting defensively, but that's really the only selling point for him as a defender right now is that he's 6'7" and has a little bit of wingspan. And so I think from that standpoint, sure, like you add a rotation guy and that's fine. You get size, you get some shooting, cool. But overall, like I mean, this was mostly a cost cutting move for them, and I continue to just be
sort of. I don't know.
The
cost cutting move was the Houston deal.
They dropped Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky, and like again, like my point just being like I don't think that this is anything that meaningfully moves them for me. Like AJ Griffin should still be markedly ahead in the pecking order.
Totally agree.
I still think Jalen Johnson should be ahead of Sadiq in the pecking order. Like I like Jalen better as a prospect. Like Nate McMillan probably does not, but like I've been more interested in some of the stuff that Jalen Johnson's done this year, even if he's not as consistent yet. Which again, that probably means that Sadiq's higher in the pecking order. But again, like this really does not do anything for me.
So the only reason that I would say I probably would go Sadiq over Jalen Johnson right now is that Sadiq is at least like confident firing from 3 if he gets it off the catch. This team is 29th in the NBA in 3-point attempt rate. Part of that is like the Nate McMillan archaic, gross offense, but also they need another guy that's willing to fire from 3, right? And Sadiq will do that. Completely agree with you. Like if I'm them, like my starting lineup is Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, and then I'm bringing Okongwu and Bogdan and Bey off the bench, right? And maybe even playing Jalen Johnson some minutes here and there. Well, no, they still have John Collins on this team. Why do you still have John Collins?
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, so exactly. That's the problem. Like they're going to have to play him out of position at the 3 and the ball movement is still going to suck. And like, I I think overall
Yeah.
it's a positive move. Like, I think that Sadiq is a fine player who I get wanting to add as a depth guy, but it just like I just don't really it I'm not trying to be unfair. This is not a situation I really like for him or for the Hawks.
Well, they'll start Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint, and then it'll be Bogdan, AJ, Bay, and Okongwu coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more sold on that. Like, having another guy that will come in and shoot a little bit is valuable. Another guy that like sneaky will do that is Garrison Matthews, if they keep Garrison Matthews. I've grown to really not enjoy watching Garrison Matthews play basketball, if I'm being completely honest.
He's a total the foul
Like,
baiting from him is kind of egregious sometimes.
Yeah, and like like, look, that guy probably has to play on the edge. Like, he probably feels that way in terms of like staying in the NBA, right? Like, he probably feels that like he really has to do that, right? And I don't begrudge him for that. I just don't know that I enjoy watching it either, personally, and that's okay. I'm sure that other people that like college basketball enjoy it. The Atlanta thing's weird. I guess it's fine. I don't really have a problem with it like you do, because I think that at the end of the day,
it's less to have a problem. I think it's just more I continue to just really be underwhelmed by their process as an organization.
That I agree. That I completely agree with. What I will say is I think that Bay maybe gives them a little bit more depth to move John Collins in the summer, in theory, if you believe Bay is a 4, like both of us do. It also, I just don't think that they're not going to be able to move Sadiq Bay for a second round pick if they have like 2 seconds in the offseason if they want to, right? They'll be able to recruit most of this value if they have to, I think. So I don't know. I agree with you generally that it's not the best fit in the world, but I just don't like it's not a big deal to me.